Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I am Elena Valdez, and I am here to do the Gemini Child Tarot reading. And this is for parents, guardians, anyone charged with the responsibility of caring for a Gemini child. So please take a moment to subscribe, comment, like. It very much helps my channel. Please let friends, family, other parents know. I hope this can benefit a lot of people, hopefully, or even just if it benefits one person, that's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to get started here. I hope you are all having a happy new year. Aren't we all happy that 2020 is over? Okay, so let's see what we have here for Gemini during the month of January. Gemini Child. This is it. Beautiful. Let's get started. So the first position is what your child is experiencing during the month of January. Ooh, the moon. Okay. So a lot of sensitivity, right? Your little Gemini, you may be observing that your child is a little quieter than usual, a little bit more pensive, a lot of imagination, perhaps a lot of daydreaming, a lot of going inward, kind of creating fantasy worlds in their mind, perhaps even writing about them, depending on the age of your child, right? Again, we're dealing here with a wide age range. You're all coming here with a different age range. So remember that the theme of what it is they're doing or what the situation or circumstance will heavily rely on the age, because it'll be different, right? So here with the moon, though, without a doubt, it's about isolating, and it's about going inward and vulnerability also, but also a lot of receptivity. So you may feel or you may sense that your Gemini is in their feels here in January. Um, and the moon is many times associated with the mother, also the grandmother. So there could be something going on there in terms of the relationship between the child, Gemini child, and the mom. So perhaps there's a missing element here. Either maybe the mom is traveling, or the grandmother is visiting, or has left after visiting. So there's a little bit of feels, being in the feels. That's for one group of Geminis. For the other group, it's going to be really about going inward and creating these fantastical elements and dream-like worlds within, and perhaps writing about them or expressing and talking about them. So it's a very magical time. Um, it could be, the level of the reason for this. I don't know for the reason, because some Gemini children here may be isolating because they miss someone, like I said earlier, their grandmother, their mother, or they're being inspired to go inward and create these worlds because of the mother or an older woman in their life. But there's something here about being in their feels for sure. Now, again, like I said, the reason can vary, right? It can be for a good reason because someone's inspiring, or it could be something that, maybe made the child a little sad and kind of pushed them into this direction of isolation. But we'll get a little better view as we unfold here. So this is a very creative, but inward creative, not like an external creative, unless of course they're writing and sharing it. But this is very, very isolating, and isolating doesn't need to be negative. It doesn't need to mean that they're lonely. It could just mean that they may be requiring more alone time than usual. Okay, so let's see what the conflict or challenge could possibly be. Okay, so we're talking about someone's writing here. Someone wants to create worlds. So we have the Ace of Swords. I love these cards. They're just amazing. Truly captures the essence of a child. The Ace of Swords is about exploring your speaking abilities. It's about, because we're talking about the child perspective here, right? So when the Ace of Swords comes up, it tells me that your child is either exploring a new language, exploring the current native language, exploring writing, wants to read, write. So you could have a little one who wants to be in his or her room just reading, and it's creating a little bit of a conflict, right? Or they're having some difficulties understanding how to read, write, and it's causing them to isolate or be in their feels about it. But it can also be communication, a lack of communication with someone like the mother or the grandmother, as I said earlier. I think what's going on here for another group too is you have a child who has a lot of wonderful ideas, but they don't know how to put it on paper yet. Either they don't know how to write it out, or they're feeling insecure about how to write it out, right? So when the challenge comes up, it's usually a little nudge from spirit for the parent to be aware of that. So for example, if you have a little one who's coming up with these beautiful dreamlike worlds and doesn't yet know how to write, perhaps you can facilitate that. Take some notes for them, right? Or perhaps just by the simple act of giving your child a journal and saying, here, we do know Geminis grow up to be wonderful communicators and writers, right? So, right now, this could be the time that you're facilitating the start of that, a little writer in the future or an adult writer, right? So, there's something here. Your child is having a hard time accessing the communication piece of this. Whatever is going on inwardly, they're having a hard time either expressing it, communicating it, whether it's written or whether it's their feels, like whatever it is they're feeling, whatever sadness or whomever it is they're missing, there's a difficulty here in communicating that. So that's something that spirit wants you to be on the lookout for. Because again, if they're not communicating it, there's no way of you knowing this is happening. So it's going to take some intuition and observing and just being aware of what's going on. Is your child acting differently? Are they doing things a little differently? Are they spending more time alone? Or are they maybe not spending time alone, but grabbing a little friend and isolating themselves from the adults? It's going to be different depending on your household, but definitely the challenge is about communication and being able to express. Okay, so let's see here what this position will tell us what it is that your child, your Gemini, needs most from you during the month of January. Yeah, so the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is nurturing, it's loving, so your child is definitely in their feels here, meaning probably more vulnerable than usual. So, what your child is going to need from you is more than usual love and affection from you. Okay. I'm sure you are already a parent who shows her affection, who shows her love, but there's a vulnerability here that your child isn't able to express that needs this more than ever from you. So, more time to play, to be loving, to express, to tell your child how much you love them, more than the usual. Because a lot of you, I'm sure, are thinking or saying, what do you mean? I'm like this with my baby every day, all the time. Yes. Well, whatever that is the norm for you, there's a little additional oomph that your child needs from you. Also, the Queen of Cups is about playing and getting out. And, there's some water elements happening here. You got the moon, you got cups. Cups is water, right? So maybe being out near water could be helpful to your child. At the end of the day, though, the Queen of Cups protects his or hers, gives love, nurtures, cooks, takes care of them, takes them out to have fun, to feel joy. It's about allowing your little ones to feel joy. You see how she's just watching everyone's having fun and enjoying their fullness of who they are naturally, allowing your child to be creative and be who they truly are. This is a very beautiful thing to see for the the child Gemini element, because usually it's a little bit more swordsy. And of course, there is swords here. We do have swords, but there's a lot more emotional need here than usual for a Gemini. So this is very beautiful. All right, so let's see now what advice Spirit has for you, the parent. Now, sometimes this advice card can be in a relationship, many times, and usually it is in relationship to what your child is going through. And sometimes it helps, it gives further indication about the challenge and how to remedy it. But what I'm noticing that's happening lately is sometimes it's just a straight up advice card for whomever is watching. It's not always related. When I first started these readings, they were always related to the situation of the child, but I'm noticing now that basically Spirit is giving whatever it is we need. Okay, so the advice card. Yeah, see, so the Two of Swords. And as advice card is actually very beautiful. It's not, I know it doesn't look, it looks a little creepy, like, oh, what does that mean? I'm blindfolded. But as advice, well, first of all, the Two of Swords is about not always having all the pieces of information, having confusion, right? And it's a little bit of lack of balance too, or it can be. So because we're talking about swords energy and we're talking about this communication element, it does come back to your child. And as an advice card, what it's telling you is that you're going to need to allow for some ambiguity currently in your household in terms of what your child is communicating or not communicating. But also, this confirms that there is some confusion or lack of being able to express communication. And also, there is some confusion either from you or your child. And again, remember, there's a mom element. So maybe this pertains to a mother or the nurturing parent. So even if you are, let's say you are like the father who is the nurturing parent who would quote unquote be the mom, then this pertains to you because remember, we're not talking gender, we're talking energy. So the Two of Swords is about being confused and not having all the pieces of the puzzle, all the pieces of information, elements being missing, which goes pretty much these are mirroring energies here, right? Because the moon is many times known as a card of confusion and mystery and not having all the pieces of the puzzle, right? So when there's lack of communication or ability to express, that can be part of the issue here. But when you have the Two of Swords, it is a mirroring energy here. So it's confirming. It's confirming that there is some information here that you are unaware of, that your child is unable to communicate. And so this is again Spirit firmly, because this is a firm advice here, firmly advising you to be more observant than usual in terms of what your child is not saying. Because there's information there that he or she is unable to, either because they can't speak yet, or they do, but they don't have they don't know how they don't have that finesse or, poise or way of articulating certain language or certain emotions into language because sometimes emotions into language it's hard to articulate when you're younger, right? And it doesn't matter if your child is 4 5 teenager, 18 years old, 15 years old. The point is that whatever it is that they're holding on to, it's difficult to communicate and let go of or express. So for you, this is also going to cause some confusion with you because you're unaware and you're not sure which direction to go about a particular situation, let's say, because your child isn't communicating it. So Spirit is saying, observe, take the blindfold off. Even if you don't understand what's going on, listen to your intuition, observe what's going on, feel it, and facilitate for your child, right? In whatever way he or she needs you to. But this also tells me there's something else going on. So I'm going to try not to go too, I try not to go too deep with the child tarot reading, but I feel like this is important to bring up because I do think there's something else happening in your household that your child is probably wild. And again, this is not going to resonate with all of you watching here today, but there's definitely a handful of you here going through some very difficult change in your own personal life, causing confusion in your own being that your child is picking up on and mirroring. Your child knows there's something you're holding that you're not communicating because why would you, right? Why would you communicate adult stuff to your child? But your child is picking it up, regardless if you're speaking about it or not. So maybe this is an opportunity to bring some balance. Doesn't mean you have to tell your child all the realities of the adult issue that you're going through, but maybe finding a way to create a bridge between the known and unknown to give some kind of feeling of all's going to be okay. I hope that makes sense. I'm sure if you're going through something, again, this could mean anything. It could be your own, you could be going through a depression, you could be going through a divorce, you could have had a loss of job. There's so many things that could be because, again, adult stuff different from the child stuff, right? But there's something being picked up. You have a very intuitive child, by the way, very intuitive. Which is another reason why it's important to fill in the gaps. Because when you have a child who's very intuitive at an early age, it's very easy to confuse intuition with paranoia. There's a thin line. So you're going to want to fill in the gap with some info so that they don't fill it in themselves with some stuff that's maybe unnecessary. All right, I'm going to leave it there before I go too deep, but I think I went deep enough to give you some helpful info. And thank you once again for being here. And I will see you in February. And if you want a private reading, whether it's astrology about you and your child or just you on your own, please reach out and I'd be happy to schedule something with you. Have a good one. Bye.